And hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for another great sit down. I'm Mark Johnston, and we have the great pleasure today to meet with Scott Eldridge, who's the CEO and director at Canagold Resources. Scott, thank you very much for joining me from Vancouver. How are you?
I'm great, Mark. Great to be here. Hope you're doing well.
Thank you.
And no, I appreciate the opportunity here to have a maiden interview with you and walk some of your listeners through the story of Canagold and the interesting results that we just put out.
I appreciate that. That's one of the great things about Follow the Money Investor Group. We get to bring audience and people behind the brand and company together. So especially with what's happening at Canagold Resources right now, I know it's a very exciting time, but I'd love to start off, Scott, given you're the director and CEO, with, can you give us a brief overview of the company and operations out in BC, just a light overview, and then let's get to some exciting news.
Absolutely, Mark. So first and foremost, we are a mineral exploration company. And we are 100% focused on gold, and even focusing down to a geographic preference. We have projects in Canada and the US, but right now we're 100% focused on our flagship asset in Canada, which is located in my home province here in British Columbia. We're up in basically the northwestern corner of British Columbia. And if you can imagine where Juneau is or Atlin is, we're sort of in that part of the world.
Terrific. Thank you for that overview, Scott. Now let's get right to some exciting news, because moments come along for companies where there's a great deal of energy and movement. So I'd love to hear some of the details about the results you have for some drilling results.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, maybe just from an investment perspective, we would qualify for what you would consider as a micro cap. And in the mineral exploration business, the audience knows that, this gives you that 10, 20, 30x type of opportunity, particularly in the gold space. And our project up in northwestern BC, it's 100% owned. It's called New Polaris, and it is a past producing gold mine. And in the past, it was producing high grade underground ore. And fast forward to today, we've defined what is a national instrument 43101 1 million ounce resource. It's very high grade. It's 10 grams per ton. So the project has very robust margins. And we recently just commenced a 24,000 meter drill program, running 2 rigs on the property. And it's 47 holes in total between now and sort of the end of October. So it means for the audience that, yes, we will have steady news flow during the summer and the fall here. Mm-hmm. And the real purpose of this drill program, Mark, is twofold. Number one is that we need to do infill drilling. So that means we need to increase the confidence in our inferred resources by infill drilling to hopefully move it up to indicated. Mm-hmm. And then the second purpose of the drill program is to drill some deeper holes to hopefully show the market that this project is bigger than 1 million ounces, but still at that 10 gram high grade ore body. So that's sort of a precursor to the results. So the results that we put out today are on the first 3 holes out of 47 holes. So there's plenty more to come. But we're very pleased with the results, and they're better than what we expected. The first hole is 12 grams of gold per ton over 3 meters. The second hole is 24.2 grams per ton gold over 6.6 meters. And the third hole is 15.8 grams per ton over 13 meters. And within that third hole, there's a shorter intercept of 25.6 grams per ton over 6.3 meters. Wow. So these results are extremely meaningful. They're literally 2.5 times the average grade of our 1 million ounce resource. And they're literally in the breadbasket of what will become the mine. Like, these are drill holes that are in the mine plan. So we're pretty excited about these results. And as I mentioned, this is the first 3 out of 47 holes.
You have dozens of holes to go at this point, but some great news out of the gate. I can imagine there's a lot of excitement inside the company. And with this news, I always love to ask folks that are behind the brand of the company, what does this do for you on an overarching trajectory? You've got 3 holes of dozens still to come. What's the talk inside the company? Where's the energy and the excitement right now about moving forward?
No, good question, Mark. So, I mean, this is a project that has a bit of seasonality to it, like a lot of projects in British Columbia. So it was a long spring for us to wait for the sort of spring thaw where we could get in there and start drilling. So we only started drilling in May. So there definitely was a wait to it, but now it feels like it was well worth the wait, given that these first 3 holes have come back with spectacular results. And this sort of lays the cards on the table for what the future looks like for the project. If we can continue to deliver these types of results, hopefully we would get recognized for that in the market. And, we do have a pretty low valuation of 35 million Canadian market cap. Okay. And we're moving the project forward. Ultimately, this successful drilling means that we could, number one, have more confidence in the resource to then move it into a feasibility study. But also, secondly, we have an opportunity to make the project bigger and better. So there is a lot of excitement within the company. We're fully financed for this drilling, so we don't need to go out to the market anytime soon. Right. And ultimately, what it really means is that we're de-risking the project, moving it down the line to eventually become a mine, whether it's us operating that mine or somebody takes us out on an M&A basis. There's a lot of optionality here for our shareholders in terms of how this plays out, but it all starts with the drilling.
Great news. Thank you for that. I hear gear change at this point. It sounds like things are certainly activated and elevating at this point. What sort of to take a longer view here at this point, Scott, what are the key dates that we should watch for as investors for the company? Now that this news has come forward, we know how many holes are still to go. What kind of key turning points or highlights on the timeline, say over the next 12 to 18 months, should we be watching for?
Right. So these first 3 holes, just to clarify, these are infill holes. And as I said earlier, the second purpose of the drill program is to drill deeper holes. So if you can imagine, we're sitting at the surface. As it stands right now, the resource only goes to a depth below the surface of 600 meters, but we're going to drill some holes that go to 800 to 850 meters. Okay. Those holes are going to start in July. And if those holes hit, then we've shown the market that this project is indeed bigger than 1 million ounces. So that's sort of the direction things could go. But in addition to that, we're also doing a lot of work behind the scenes, not just from an exploration perspective, but from a perspective of moving this forward to becoming a mine. An example of that is the environmental baseline work that we're doing. We're in the 3rd and final year of the environmental baseline information gathering. And at the end of this calendar year, we can then submit our application to the BC government to receive the environmental approval for the project. So it's not just moving it forward from a geological perspective, it's also from a permitting perspective. And ultimately, as I said, we're not just looking to define ounces in the ground. We want to create value here by de-risking this project forward and either selling it from an M&A takeout perspective or moving it into production ourselves. But we've got the team and supporting shareholders to do both of those.
Terrific. I appreciate that. I'll take a segue from you, Scott. You talking about the team. We always love to hear about the faces and the names behind the brand. Obviously, you've put a great team together. This is some exciting news. I'd love to hear about some of the talent that you have at the company that's helped make all this happen.
Right. So I've been in the metals and mining industry for about 12 years, Mark, and I've always been on the money raising side of the business. So I've been a buy-side analyst. I've run my own merchant banking firm. And for the last 4 years, I've been on the issuer side of the business. So throughout my career, I've raised about $500 million for the industry. And that's financing for anything from exploration up to production. Our founder and chairman is a name that most people would recognize, Brad Cook. He's also the founder of a silver mining company called Endeavor Silver. And talking more about our management team, Gary Biles, he's our president and COO. He's a mining engineer. He's built and operated 4 mines in his career, one of which was the fabulously high-grade SK Creek mine in BC, where he was the mine manager before the takeout. Our VP Exploration, Troy Gill, comes out of Rio Tinto. He twice won their internal award for Discovery of the Year. And then augmenting the management team, we also have a great board who's led by our newest board member, Andrew Bowering. Some of the listeners would recognize that name, Andrew Bowering. He's also the founder of a mining entity called Prime Mining. He's a mining entrepreneur, very successful. And in addition to the board and the management, we've also got great shareholders. I will mention, Mark, that Eric Sprott owns 10% of our company, and he seems to have an affinity for the higher grade underground mesothermal deposits, which we have.
Mm.
So collectively, between the management board and shareholders, we've got overall, I think, a pretty good team to move this forward.
Fantastic. Yes, I heard the news with Eric Sprout. That's always a great sign. In terms of next steps, where do we go from here, Scott?
Yeah, I mean, it's basically the drilling. These are the first results, and this is only the beginning. So we're on hole number 8 right now, but we're basically waiting for the assays for holes 5, 6, 7, 8. So probably within the next 2 weeks, you'll see another news release of 3 to 4 holes. We will continue to release the holes in batches of 3 or 4. And these are news releases will extend most likely until November in terms of news flow. So there'll be a lot of activity surrounding the company. And hopefully we have more results like this first batch.
Good to know, and look forward to that as well. I always like to leave an open door for these moments to ask if anything else has come to mind, or if we've missed any key points here, Scott. This is quite a moment for the company. Anything else that you'd like to share?
Right. Well, I won't talk too much about geology, but as I pointed out, our flagship asset, New Polaris, it's a mesothermal gold vein system. Mm-hmm. And what does that mean? Well, as I said, our resource only goes to a maximum depth of 600 meters below surface.
Right.
So over in the Red Lake camp of Ontario, there's a number of mines over there that the viewers have probably heard of, such as Hemlo or the famous Red Lake mine. Mm-hmm. They often go for 2,000 meters, and we're that same system type. So we can truly look people in the eye and say, yes, we do have a blue sky potential to this project, and that will hopefully be unveiled with the deeper drilling that we'll be commencing on in July. As I said, we'll try to drill the deposit at that sort of 800 to 850 meter level, extending it well beyond the depth of the 600 meter level where we stand right now. So it's very shallow for an underground mine. And number 2, it's also very shallow for a mesothermal system. So, we've got that high grade 1 million ounces, but that blue sky is still there. And hopefully we can demonstrate that to the market come this summer.
I look forward to hearing more news on that. As you say, it's a seasonal business, but some great news just out of the company. And we'll be watching for more news releases in the coming weeks. I know that you have a big to-do list at this point with this news coming out, Scott. And always appreciate to hear from people like yourself that can share directly with the audience of what's happening with new discoveries and also great potential.
No, thank you very much, Mark. Appreciate your time here, and looking forward to future updates with you.
It's been a pleasure. All right. Have a great game.